All right, we are ready to go. We are going to have this back-to-back series, with series number 2 being Inting for Globes versus Durotan's Couch. Now, let me just get these predictions started. Let me get this ready as well. All right, that was quite easy to set up. Luckily, I had a lot of them pre-filled. But yeah, so I'm not going to be able to do the same usual intro I do, just because these two teams have already been nice enough to wait for us to finish our previous series in order to get started here. But it is going to be Durotan's Couch versus Inting for Globes. The map have already been banned, and Durotan's Couch won the coin toss. They decided to go for map pick. So they banned away Volskaya and Alterac. Inting for Globes banned Battlefield of Eternity and Braxis. And D Shire going to be the first map played. Now, both of these two teams are going to be in the playoffs no matter what. And I believe, let me just check the placements right now. So Durotan's Couch, they're playing for the playoff spot. Okay, so this is actually going to be a pretty big one. And if they win the series, they're guaranteed playoffs, but they have to win it. So this is actually a pretty big game. And then Inting for Globes, they also have a reason to play. If they win at least one map, they are guaranteed that number 1 seed over in Heroic. So this is actually a really big game. Everyone needs to be paying attention to this, because 9-5, their playoff run is on the line here. If Durotan's Couch isn't able to come out on top, they will lose their playoff spot, and Durotan's Couch will take it for themselves. But now, with the draft going on this entire time, I've kind of been skipping past it, but it is going to be Tracer and Sylvanas banned away by Durotan's Couch, and then Oriel and Falstad banned away by Inting for Globes, with Dahaka being the first pick for Concept. And I also just realized, I believe the teams are opposite again. So let me swap that around. Boom, there we go. So it is actually Inting for Globes over on the right side and Durotan's Couch over on the left. Sorry, I'm just kind of all over the place. That always happens whenever I'm rushing to get into the next series. But Blaze and Brightwing going to get locked in for Wildcard and Sailor Twift. And on the side of Inting for Globes, they're going to lock in Johanna for Fuzz and Chromie for Albatox 30k. And I mean, their drafts have always been really nice on Inting for Globes. Like I said earlier, as part of my intro for the first series, Inting for Globes is very much a super clean macro team. They know this game inside and out. They know where they can push. It's a very calculated approach to the game, as opposed to, though I have to say, Potential Scrim Thursday, they can play properly. They know how to play properly. And last game, they kind of showed that when they were playing up against Rodney's Imaginary Friends. So it will be fun to see Inting for Globes put on that master class again. I will say, I do think it's unlikely Durotan's Couch will be able to win this series. It is doable, but this is definitely going to be a massive uphill battle for them. But now, Genji and Anubrak going to get locked in for Goliath and I Just Fizzed, as the two bans are going to be the Anduin, banned by Durotan's Couch, and the Muradin, banned by Inting for Globes. And now with the Genji locked in, it is D Shire, by the way, in case I haven't mentioned that. So Genji is able to move between the lanes pretty quickly, able to kind of get those ganks going, get that extra little bit of burst you need to win the 1v1, or maybe pick someone off over in the mid lane. Lots of different opportunities for plays there. But now some playmakers locked in for Inting for Globes. Maev locked in for Saikatora, and the Lucio locked in for Cav Kivar. So with that, they should be in a pretty good spot to play this game. They are going to be relying quite a bit on the damage coming out from Chromie from the Albatox 30k. But Chromie is one of those few mages that can be that core DPS, that core ranged assassin, bringing out that damage. Maev and Dahaka will be able to bring out quite a bit. Joanna actually deals quite a bit of damage, so they're definitely going to be fine team comp-wise, but the vast majority of it definitely will be needing to come out of Albatox. As the final pick, gonna go to Yawners, and it's gonna be the Hanzo. So it will be a little bit of that Overwatch DPS line coming out for Durotan's Couch, Genji and Hanzo. Everyone's favorite Overwatch mains to play with and against, I'm sure. But with that, the draft for game number 1 is done. So it's time to get into our second series of the day between Durotan's Couch and Inting for Globes.
Prepare for combat.
All right, and here we are. Game number 1. Durotan's Couch versus Inting for Globes. Now, gonna be interesting to see how these two teams do play. And whenever there is a map like this, like the D-Shire, macro teams typically do quite well. The bigger the map is, the more likely they are to succeed. There's more opportunity for macro plays to come out, and there's more punish when you do it successfully.
5, 4.
Now, on the side of Durotan's Couch, I mean, by no means, this is not a weak team. I've cast them a couple times. They're very strong. It's just compared to Inting for Globes, it is going to be difficult, but they can definitely pull it off, and they definitely need to pull it off if they want to get into the playoffs. And now the mid lane fight already starting to come out. Just a little bit of poke going every which way is Psychotora going to be able to pull back Wildcard, but the drag now going to land onto Yonders, and that's a play, and they're able to take down Yonders immediately. And now just everyone all grouping together, just DPSing wherever they can. Kapkavar did get taken down quite low, but will be able to heal up the rest of the team. And First Blood going to be going over the wave. Inting for Globes is now Goliath. Gonna get dismounted. Psychotora gonna have the Umbral Bind, and they will be able to take down Goliath. Just kind of stringing them along with that Umbral Bind. So that's going to be a second kill going over towards Inting for Globes. And now they're going to get a little bit of the bot lane push. However, it looks like they're bringing Kapkavar and Fuzz right back into the mid lane. They're going to send Psychotora all the way around to the bot lane. Now, the Siege Giants are available for both these two teams, as Psychotora actually going to be soloing onto this Bruiser camp and is dealing quite a bit of damage already. And now they're looking for I Just Fizzed, just getting a little bit of poke damage. Cellular Twift will land that Polymorph. And now with this pressure, they're just going to immediately get started on this Bruiser camp. And this is what makes them so difficult to play against, because if they have any inkling that you're going to get started in your siege camp, then you don't have the numbers to contest for this, so they can start it. But that only works if you start in the first, like, 1 or 2 seconds of it. And they do. That's what makes them so hard to play into. But now with that, they will be able to get this Bruiser camp. The siege camp was secured by Durotan's Couch, and they will be able to clear away this Bruiser camp as well, and could, in theory, try to contest onto the siege camp. But level 4s are available for Inting for Globes, as they also have both the Shrines. Fuzz already trying to lock it in, and will be able to. First Dragonite already going the way of Inting for Globes as they finish off their siege camp. And now they're looking for Goliath, but the Polymorph is going to be there onto Psychotora, just preventing that Umbral Bind. And now Fuzz just going to come up into the top lane and just going to start wailing away onto this wall. As now a little bit of a fight is breaking out. Kapkavar looking for Sailor Twift and will be able to finish it off, but Psychotora gonna get traded back, and actually with a scatter shot, Yonder is gonna be able to take down another, make that a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Durotan's Couch. As now I Just Fizzed is still here to defend the bot lane, and Wildcard trying to clear out Fuzz in the top lane, but with the punt gonna be difficult. Now Concept also gonna be able to find Wildcard, has the drag, is just trying to deal some damage, trying to buy some time, but Concept starting to get burst down a little bit. But it is the Dahaka. We'll be able to just get back safely, as now Fuzz just still working onto this fort. And now they will be able to take it down. They have the jet propulsion as well. They have the slow oil slick, but Psychotora going to be able to jump over the wall, looking for Wildcard. Has the Emerald Bind, able to pull them back. And now with the Sonic Wave, Wildcard just going to get finished off there. Psychotora and Kapkavar had more than enough damage for that play. And now it's 4-2, the total kill score right now between Inting for Globes and Durotan's Couch. Now Fuzz is going to be sitting here in the mid lane, just clearing out that wave as the Bruiser camps get started by both these sides. The right side will be done first. Inting for Globes will have the first camp done, and they're looking to try and play aggressively. Fuzz and Kapkavar, they're already here. They're already grouping onto this Bruiser camp. Psychotora trying to get it in place early on, but Inting for Globes not there in time, as now Kapkavar gonna get sent up, but able to just jump off the wall. We'll get back to safety. Goliath just trying to DPS into the backline. Psychotora as well. Umbral Bind there onto Wildcard, but with a Pyromania, Wildcard's okay to be in the middle of everyone. But unfortunately, the DPS follow-up just isn't there. Durotan's Couch not going to be able to take anyone down from that play, but they will at the very least be able to secure their own Bruiser camp. Now, Concept, the captain of Inting for Globes, will be able to push this out in the off lane, and actually they're going to be able to get a kill over in the bot lane. But now the Umbral Bind finding Fuzz at 100 HP, but the scatter shot not going to land from Yonders. Sakatora gonna get stunned up, and this could be an opportunity as well. But Yawner's gonna get sniped by Albatrox, and now with the slowing sound, Sailor Twift has nowhere to go. Will get was almost gonna get sniped out, but the Cadev actually makes Albatrox miss. But they're still able to finish that off in the end. 2-0 right now for Inting for Globes, as they are gonna be looking for this bottom wall. Now Albatrox, Fuzz, and Kavar, they're gonna get started over on the siege camp. Goliath is going to be here as well. Wildcard has the oil slick. They're looking for the fight. I just fizz onto Albatrox, just trying to zone them away. They're looking for a Fuzz. They're dealing a lot of damage onto the front line. They have the extra stun, but right now everyone's just hitting onto everyone, but they lost their healer. And now Goliath getting those resets, dealing so much damage. Albatrox is going to go down as well, but still, no one's gone in the siege camp. The jet propulsion does land. Concept just trying to buy some time, but will go down. It's a 4-4-2 so far, as Kavar is alone and should go down shortly, as Yawner's with the final auto. 5 kills going the way of Durotan's couch, and they needed this to be able to get back into the game, and they still are down in experience. They're down in level after that entire play going through, but this was a massive play for them. They have the siege camp pushing on the bot side. They're not going to be able to take any structures with it, but they could look to try and take this Dragon Knight. However, Fuzz is here, and the Shield Glare is a very powerful ability, but they are jumping onto Fuzz instead. The Iron Skin is there as well. Do they have any lockdown? They don't have enough DPS to break the Iron Skin before they can have I Just Fizzed going in forward as Albatrox. Could be looked for. They have the stun, but the high five from Kavar is going to be there. The Dragon Arrow going to get nullified there. But with that, Durotan's couch going to be able to retake onto this Shrine. Goliath going to dodge out onto the Blessed Shield, and that's a major cooldown. That's not going to be available now. They have the Cocoon onto Sakatora. I Just Fizz still looking for the back line, but no one's finding anyone yet. And I Just Fizz gonna get burst down. X-Strike over top, but the Containment Disc is going to be there. They're found Goliath. Sakatora could get ready. They have the silence, and they will have the damage as well. It's a 2-0 for Inting for Globes, as now Wildcard trading out with Concept over the top side. But again, it's just going to be the 2 Beefcakes slowly but surely trading out. And eventually someone will be able to take over the area, but they're not going to be able to get the kills, as Concept with the drag actually going to be able to buy enough time to take away this area. And now Wildcard still trading with Concept, but Yawner's is here, Sailor Twift is here, and they're just trying to focus everything down onto Concept, but Concept trying to get away. They have the Isolate as well, but Yawner's going to be able to get the auto attack over the wall. However, Fuzz did manage to get the Dragon Knight in the meanwhile. The Concept trading their life away for this objective. Goliath going to get punted away, as the Dragon Knight does. However, while the Fuzz is getting shoved away over in this mid lane, Sakatora, Albatrox, and Kavar, they're getting a lot of value here in this bottom lane. They have the Bruiser Camp pushing. They have just a ton of damage over top of it as well. The Sakatora could be looking for the play, not going to be able to find it, as Fuzz still pushing in the mid lane, by the way. Even though this is the distraction, it's the distraction because it is able to bring out a lot of threat. Now the Dragon Knight is going to go down. Fuzz going to immediately pop the Iron Skin. And now Inting for Globes, they are starting to look towards this mid lane. Level 13 advantage in their favor just for a little bit, though Durotan's couch immediately going to take forward to 13 as well. Now Siege Camp going to get one shot by Inting for Globes, as Durotan's couch gets started on their own Bruiser Camp. But Fuzz going to be pushing into this mid lane with Albatrox, and with that they're going to be able to take down the third and final 4. But now they're aiming towards Fuzz. They have a lot of DPS. They have the deflect as well. Dragon Arrow is going to land, and this could be a play. They have the X-Strike they need, with a little bit more damage, and Goliath with those shurikens, with those auto attacks, is going to be able to take down that frontliner for Inting for Globes. However, there's really nothing on the map for them to take. It's always good to get a kill. It's always good to be able to use that advantage to push out lanes, but they're not going to be able to get any permanent aggressive advantage for it. And now Wildcard getting jumped upon Concept, trying to go for the drag, but the bunker going to get used preemptively from Wildcard. Definitely saving their life in that play. If one CC lands, every CC is going to land. Kavar is going to be able to scout out Yawner's. Now Concept may have gone a little bit too far, but Goliath got to get healed by the phase shift. The deflect is there as well, but Sakatora is there in the middle of everyone. Could try and jump in, looking for the Umbral Blind, but not going to be able to find it. In fact, Sakatora needs to run. Isolate has already been used onto Wildcard, but neither side going to be able to find the kills. Neither side going to be able to find the good engage to start off that team fight. Now they're going to be pushing out the mid lane on the side of Durotan's couch, but Umbral Bind going to land into Blessed Shield. Sailor Twift going to be in a bad spot and will actually be able to get away with the Blink Heal. However, now Sailor Twift has nowhere to go. Both sides, there's enemies trying to run away, but Concept and Albatrox going to be able to finish off one. Now, the Dragon Arrow does land, and they are looking X-Strike on a Cav, but again, the Soundwave just going to be able to push them out. Fuzz gonna get finished off, but I Just Fizz could be in a good position to get traded back. But Cav, Goliath just finding more and more targets. Yonder's jumping over the wall, just trying to kite away onto Psychotora. Wildcard trying to buy some space as well, and Goliath gonna get hit by the Dragon's Breath from Albatrox. Actually, if that Sandblast landed as well, could have been a definite kill going the way of Albatrox, but 2 for 2 at the end of the day. And I mean, I do have to give credit to Sailor Twift just surviving as long as they did, considering that positioning. But again, immediately coming into the Dragon's Breath, just dealing so much damage to them. Ooh, sorry for that. But now they are going to be able to shove out that mid lane and Inting for Globes. They will take control of both these two shrines. And it is one of those maps where once you're able to get the first few structures, it's so much easier to start chaining together Dragon Knights. This Concept could be what they're looking for, but they don't have the damage to take down the Zerg. Now Inting for Globes, they are bringing a lot of members towards the mid lane. I Just Fizz going to use the Impale. Umbral Bind going to land as well. Containment Disc is already going to get committed. And now the Dragon Arrow is going to find its way onto the healer in the backline. And now the Stasis is going to get thrown by Albatrox. Albatrox is going to get stunned up. They have the healer caught in the cocoon, but the Umbral Bind able to peel away, and they're able to take down the tank. Now Wildcard is going to be here, going to be joining a little bit late, but Fuzz starting to get low as well. Goliath going to be able to get the kill, but it's going to get traded back immediately. Yoners is already gone. Sailor Twift looks to be the next target, and Psychotora with the Umbral Bind going to be able to do it. And it's just going to be Wildcard backing away as, again, the waves are slowly but surely pushing in favor of Inting for Globes. And that's why they can take these fights, as now with the Containment Disc, they're looking for more. Psychotora just going to have the silence, not going to have too much more, but Goliath is already back, looking for Psychotora as well. But the space created is there, as Cav just preventing them from being able to mount up and chase onto this Maiev. But the third Dragon Knight is going to be going the way of Inting for Globes again, as Concept looking for the pick. Goliath is in a bad spot. They have the Umbral Bind, and they will be able to find this Genji. Goliath is down, and Wildcard starting to get a little bit low, and with that, they're going to be able to buy enough space to just take down this top lane fort. And in the meanwhile, Albatrox already here in the bot lane, just slowly but surely trying to get this pushed off. Needs to be a little bit more careful, though, because this isn't Fuzz. Not going to be able to buy too much time once the Dragon Knight does go down. However, Cav is here. Concept's going to be their Fuzz. They're all around this Chromie to try and set up for this next play. So they're not going to be able to get too many structures here in the bot lane with the Dragon Knight. They will be able to take down a good chunk of the wall, but they will be able to take down that fort in the top lane. And I think that's actually going to be the biggest part of that play. Just going to be opening the map even further. And it's one of those lanes that does have the shrine, so it's going to be so difficult for Durotan's couch to try to contest on any one of these objectives, as Fuzz just standing there 1v3, keeping them off the wave. Very small part there, but Fuzz protecting the wave means that they can start pressuring forward with it, as Sailor Twift gonna get stunned up and gonna get finished off. Blessed Shield even gonna get popped there just for that extra DPS. And now Inting for Globes are pushing out into the bot side. They have level 20. This is their time to shine. They have the slowing sands as well. And oh my, the damage onto I Just Fizz is so high. And it does look like it is going to be the unraveling coming through as a level 20. I Just Fizz starting to get low, able to jump away. But right now they're taking down Wildcard. They already took down the bunker, and Wildcard has nowhere to go. Gonna get finished off as well. Yoners could be the next target. But right now the next target is just going to be that keep. And again, it's going to be staggered death timers. Inting for Globes, they have a solid push going their way. They managed to find Yoners, but Yoners able to jump over the wall. Goliath looking for the backline. But it is just Fuzz and Cav. Not two targets that Goliath can easily take down. Cav just buying more and more space for the team. And it looks like Inting for Globes, for now, is really happy to just kind of back out, back away, and just take the next set of shrines and take the next Dragon Knight. Like I always say, this team knows how to play its limits when it comes to the macro. They had the advantage. They knew that they could keep feeling around. If they got 1 or 2 more picks, I have no doubt they would try to end the game there. But they didn't get those picks, but they're already happy with the keep, and they're just going to back away. And now that the shrines are available, they're already set up to just take both and take the next Dragon Knight. Now, whether they take this mid or top, I have no idea, but they're definitely going to be able to take it somewhere. They're definitely going to be able to get value out of it. And now Fuzz looking over into this bot thing, going to get the Condemn onto Goliath, just trying to buy space, buy time. And again, just letting these waves push in passively. And as I say that, they don't even need to care about the keeps. It looks like they want to just end the game. They're looking towards Aegis Fizz. Lots of damage dealt by Fuzz. This wildcard looking over to the backline. They have the stuns over on a Fuzz, but the high five is going to be there. The punt as well. And now they're looking for Fuzz. They have the X-Strike over top, but the healing is too high. They have the containment disc, just trying to keep Goliath out. And Goliath gets one hit. Umbral Bind finds two. Sailor Twift trying to back away and will be able to back out for now. But Yawner's going to get finished off by Psychotora. And it's a 2-0. And now Wildcard looking for the backline. Fuzz at 700 HP. Psychotora pretty low as well. But the Unraveling buying so much damage, buying so much space that it's going to be 3-0. They still have concept in the Dragonite. And now they're going to walk in and they're going to finish off this core. And Inting for Globes, they're going to win game number 1 and secure themselves first place in the Heroic Division regular season. And Inting for Globes gonna be able to win that first game there. And I mean, they looked good doing it. They got a really solid macro plays. They got the early advantage. And Snarfungus, thank you for the raid. Game number 1 did just end, but we're still gonna have more matches coming your way. Game number 2 at the very least between Inting for Globes and Durotan's Couch. But now, unfortunately, as everyone did arrive, we are going to be going to a short break. And when we come back, we'll be heading straight into game number 2. But with this win, like I said this, Inting for Globes is now guaranteed number 1 seed for the Heroic Division. Durotan's Couch, they need to win these next 2 games to secure their playoff spot. But this is a very tough team to try to do it against. But will they be able to do it? We'll find out after the break. Oops, I was finishing up a candy as I started. But here we are going into game number 2. Now this time we're going to be going over to Tomb of the Spider Queen between Durotan's Couch and Inting for Globes. Now let's get those predictions running. Let's get those predictions started as the draft does begin. Now, like I said before, Inting for Globes, they're no longer playing for anything. At this point, they've secured the first place. If they want the extra points, that's the only thing they can go for. But I believe they do have the tiebreak. Oh, no, there is no tiebreak. They have 1 point over the Rodney's Imaginary Friends. So Rodney's Imaginary Friends did technically win the tiebreak versus Inting for Globes. But because that part is no longer relevant, Inting for Globes have that 1 extra point. They're guaranteed that first seed. But Durotan's Couch, they need to win the entire series if they want to get into the playoffs. So these next 2 maps are must wins for them if they want to be able to make it to the playoffs. And in a way, Inting for Globes also has some control over their matchup. And okay, actually, let me spin this in a fun way, because this is technically true. Inting for Globes, with this series, they can decide who their first matchup's going to be. If they lose this series, they will be playing Durotan's Couch. If they win this series, they'll be playing 9-5. It's kind of in their own hands who their matchup is going to be. Now, I'm not trying to start any drama or anything. I'm sure none of these teams would cheat or anything like that. But it's fun to imagine, you know? So if Inting for Globes want to play Durotan's Couch, they should lose to Durotan's Couch right now. And that will enable them to play that matchup. However, if they do want to play 9-5, they need to win this matchup. But realistically, I think what they're probably thinking is they don't really care who they're going to be playing against. Not to be toxic, but more just to show that they're not going to be breaking the rules or anything like that. And I'm not condoning that or like saying that's what's happening. It's always just fun to think about these things. But I should probably talk about the drafts instead, because we're already like halfway through it. But going to be similar bans. In fact, I believe the exact same bans. It's going to be Sylvanas and Blaze banned by Inting for Globes. And it's going to be, actually no, Chromie and Oriole banned by Durotan's Couch. They're not going to let Albatox play that again. And now, Falstad and Sonya going to get locked in for Yonners and Wildcard on the side of Durotan's Couch. On the side of Inting for Globes, it's going to be Joanna for Fuzz again, Vala for Albatox, and the Stukov for Cav Kivar. Now, looking over at these team compositions, Inting for Globes are not going to have a cleanse, but they are going to have a decent amount of AoE damage. And then Falstad is going to be able to move around the map. And Tomb of the Spider Queen is actually a really good map for Creed of the Hunter. Or not Creed of the Hunter, that's Vala. Frequent Flyer. Sorry, I could not remember the talent name for Falstad. But yeah, Frequent Flyer would be a very solid talent choice just because the lanes are close together. It's easy to stack it up. And especially if they do intend on fighting a lot against Inting for Globes, they can get a ton of auto attack damage on this Falstad. So the next bans are going to come through. It's going to be the Uther ban by Durotan's Couch, trying to prevent that double healer, that pseudo double frontline coming out from Inting for Globes. And Junkrat going to get banned by them just to prevent that super annoying hero. And if you're good on Junkrat, it's going to bring out a lot of damage, it's going to bring out a lot of pressure. But I digress, it's banned. Instead, Durotan's Couch going to take that pretty common Light Bomb combo. Going to have Murden for Aegis Fizz and the Anduin for Sailor Twift. And I think it is important. Having an easy engage with an easy follow-up, and they have a couple right now. Assuming Wildcard goes Leap and not Wrath of the Berserker, that'll be an extra follow-up or another way to start the fight. Yonners could get the Gust, again, to either start the fight or follow up on it. They have a lot of different options when it comes to how they want to start their engages right now. And I think that's always good to have an easier method of execution to be able to try and pull out a win. Benet Rel going to get locked in for Concept, so they're still going to have that double front line. And Lucio going to get locked in for Psychotor as Raka sees that banned skin. That's that Murden skin, right? With the no wind-up. I always forget which one exactly it is, but I need to try and figure it out so I can play it in my Storm League because I'm one of those people. But Goliath gonna once again lock in the Genji, and Goliath played pretty well in that first game. Was able to get a couple of pickoffs over in the backline, was being a constant menace, which is exactly what you want from the Genji. So I really like that as a pick, but double healer is going to be there for Inting for Globes. They have the Stukov Lucio, they have the double front line, and Vala is a true carry. You can definitely have that solo, but can Durotan's Couch keep their playoff dreams alive? Let's find out in Game 2. All right, and we are here. Let's take a look, see. As I just fizzed is gonna be there. I'm not even sure if that is the skin, and if not, I highly doubt that Inting for Globes cares. I'm also just having fun, Rock. I know this really doesn't matter here, but either way, we are into game number 2 here between Inting for Globes and Durotan's Couch. Once again, Inting for Globes decides to be over on that red side. They're going to start walking forward as both sides will group over to the mid lane. And I was talking about the frequent flyer, but it is still going to be Gathering Storm. We're going over to Yonners. As Goliath and Psychotor just going to be trading a little bit back and forth. But again, with double healer there, it's going to be so difficult for them to get that burst damage. And Fuzz can just kind of stand there in the front line forever. Has the Iron Skin, has the heals coming out from Cap Kavar, has Psychotora as well. It's going to be super difficult for them to have enough DPS over into the backline. However, one big thing is Yonner's actually going to get finished off. Albatox going to be going in forward, and First Blood going over to Inting for Globes. Now it is Creed of the Hunter build, and most importantly, it's going to be Fetid Touch. I don't think I've ever seen that picked before, so it is going to be a ranged Stukov coming in for Inting for Globes. I don't really know too much about this talent, but it looks like it's also going to be able to deal less damage, but can be toggled. That's pretty cool. I genuinely did not know about that talent. That's how often I've seen it. And now they have the Root to Chastise. Does land on the Cap Kavar, but it's still so difficult for them to walk forward. Because if you land an ability onto one healer, the other healer is going to be there. And I was talking earlier how it is going to be a little bit difficult for Inting for Globes because they picked that Stukov. They don't have the cleanse. However, that was before that 10th pick Lucio for Psychotora. Once that level 10 does come out, they're going to have the high 5. They're going to have those cleanses for the entire team. But now the Bruiser Camp is going to get started already by Durotan's Couch, and they're just going to send 3 to take this down as Yonner's trying to get up to the top side before the push really starts coming into play. Already 18 stacks on Gathering Storm. So this will be able to get a couple of stacks, to get a couple more of that damage going into those hammerings as Goliath looking for the backline. Chastise is going to land onto Psychotor, but the healing still going to be able to come out as they are trading back and forth. But again, the push definitely favoring Inting for Globes, and they do have 6 more gems. But now they're looking forward. They found Cap Kavar. They have the stun, and they will be able to get the first kill going the way of Durotan's Couch. And wow, yeah, I can definitely see how it could be hard to see that Stormbolt flying. But either way, Wildcard going to be fighting with Concept here in the bot lane. Both are going to be in a pretty even spot, as Inting for Globes just going to be able to shove out this lane, going to be able to finish off this Bruiser Camp. However, the first little bit of a turn in, anyway, going the favor of Durotan's Couch. They're going to have 18 gems turned in. Now Wildcard going to be pushing out this lane over in this bot lane. But Yonners could be getting jumped upon. The Condemn is there. Yonners got to get pushed back, and that's just going to be the kill. I was waiting for the barrel roll, but never even came out. Probably was already used before that play began. But it is a 2-for-1 going total kills anyway in favor of Inting for Globes, and that's going to be a couple of those gems missing again. They're already at 46 total on the side of Inting for Globes. They could finish it off soon. Zyger's Fizz still aiming in this bottom for Albatox here, but not going to be able to find them. And now the turn-ins could start coming through. They have more than enough total if they do want to get that set of Web Weavers pushing. However, it could also be an option for them to just try to get more and more as Yonners. Going to use a barrel roll now, going to be able to get back to safety, but this range damage from Cap Kavar is really doing work right now. I mean, it's important to note that overall, Stukov has very powerful auto attacks. Just so much damage coming out of those individual hits. And even if it's 35% weaker in range, it's still really high. But now level 7 talents are there for Inting for Globes as Durotan scouts are trying to fight. And they found 2 in the backline. They found Capcavar. They found Albatox. And Capcavar is going to be the first to go down as they were down a talent. But they were up the number and they were up the positioning. However, the trading still going to be going back and forth. Albatox actually getting hit quite low in the backline as Goliath getting it finished off by the cannon towers. So it will be the 1-for-1 trade in the end. As Sailor Twips looking for the chastise, not going to be able to find it. As Yonners is getting jumped upon. Concept is here as well, but the leap of faith going to keep Yonners alive for now. 32 stacks now on the Gathering Storm. And now they're still going to be looking. Both teams have enough gems for turn, and now it's all about jockeying for a position and being the first one to be able to get them going. Concept going to turn in another 11 there over on the bottom side. As now Fuzz sitting at 36 would be able to start the play, but the Shuriken gonna be able to cancel it in the end. As Yonners playing forward, looking for Psychotora, but the Ancient Spear not gonna land. Condemn just over in the front line. Fuzz just buying as much space as possible. They don't have the damage to take down this Joanna in the meanwhile. And now Yonners and Wildcard just still poking over. Concept is gonna be here, has the Righteous Hammer into the wall, and now with the Soundwave, Sailor Twift is in the back line and will be the first to go down, but Albatox. And they, with the deflect, they have a lot of damage coming from Goliath, but the Condemn gonna buy some time, and Goliath gonna go down. And now Fizz gonna follow, and look at those gems. Gonna get removed here. They're just gonna be entirely gone. And now there's just not too much left that they can do on the side of Inting for Globes. On the side of Durotan's couch. Fuzz gonna be able to get the turn in. They're already taking the wall here in the mid lane. They've already taken the wall on the top side. And these Web Weavers are going to be able to get so much value. Level 10 is already there for Inting for Globes. They're going to start this push. And how much more can they get? And in a way, this map is pretty similar to the Dragonshire from game number 1. Because if you're able to take control of this middle vertical line, it's so much easier to just keep the game in your favor. Now Concept just trying to buy some space over in this mid lane. However, the real push happening right now in this top lane. Inting for Globes, they're sending 4 members there, and Fuzz even keeping the minions away, just making sure that all of these extra adds, all of these extra little minions are just going to be able to DPS onto the structures. Now Goliath looking for a little bit of DPS, not going to be able to find too much. As Fuzz is still pushing out here, so much confidence coming out from this Joanna, and now the push happening over the mid lane. Capcavar actually getting taken out decently low. Sandorm not going to be able to find too much value, but with the healing from Psychotora and with Capcavar, they're going to be okay. As they are still looking to finish off this mid lane fort, and they should have the final little bit of damage necessary for it. And they're in a really good spot after all that. They have the top fort and the mid fort gone. They still have enough gems for a second turn in if they want. Fuzz just going to drop those 37 gems right off cooldown. As now Albatox and Capcavar are going to get started on the Bruiser camp. Concept was looking for that bottom siege camp, but may have just been scouting. Psychotor in the meanwhile going to get bullied off of this camp, or bullied off of the gems. And now they're still looking. Yonner is going to try to turn in 12 and will be able to. So they only need 9 more on the side of Durotan's couch. Wildcard sitting on 24. That would definitely be their main play. If they can get Wildcard on one of these turn-in altars, that will be it. But now they're jumping onto Goliath. They have the chastise, so now Fuzz in the back line actually has the falling sword. And now they have the light bomb into the back line, and they're able to find a Capcavar kind of stuck and will get finished off. X-Strike over top. Goliath still low, but has the deflect. Just buying some time. Fizz in the middle of everyone. Same with Concept. But right now, the HP bar is still definitely favoring Inting for Globes. They're able to take one, and now they're going to keep walking forward. The front line's already gone. The spin. Going to find the second one. Wildcard with 25 gems. Gonna get finished off, and another set will be missing. And Fuzz could be the next target, but with the Righteous Hammer, with the deflect, the Goliath's still looking for Fuzz, but the Soundwave and the damage from Albatox is going to be more than enough. It's a 4-for-1 in favor of Inting for Globes. And now Concept, I believe, nope, they will need a little bit more gems. They will need Psychotora to turn in 3 more. And with that, they will have the next set of Web Weavers pushing in for them. Capcavar trying to get this lane pushed out in the top side. And now Flight already going to get burned by Honors as well. They have the damage, but Fuzz is here. They have the Rain of Vengeance as well. The Gust just pushing them all into the wall. Concept just looking for the backline, and Wildcard is in the middle of everyone, but it's 1v4 and we'll get finished off. Falling Sword in the meanwhile looking for more fighting, but the Chastise is going to prevent the Condemn from landing and will prevent any kind of chain happening there, but that's still a 1-for-0 as the Web Weavers, they're already pushing, and they're going to ignore this bottom 4. They're going to go straight for this mid lane wall. Could look straight for this mid lane keep, depending on how much they can get here. Now, Albatox already at 154 stacks, I believe 0 deaths, so still has all of those Gambit stacks available, that 25% attack speed on the Vala, and it's working so well. The deflect is going to trade a little bit of health back, same with the Stormbolt, but Albatox just doesn't care, just DPSing over top with that Voltage Shot as well. Almost pokes down, I just fizzed entirely. And now they can start fighting over onto this keep. They're not, I don't know if they're going to be able to finish it off, but they are going to be able to deal some pretty significant damage over to it. And now as the Honor's starting to get pretty low, but Concept is over top. Falling Sword gonna land, not even necessary. Concept had more than enough damage. Now Light Bomb gonna land onto the 2 in the backline. X-Strike gonna buy some space, but they're all still alive. Sailor Twip gets hit into the wall and will get finished off. Wildcard not gonna land the leap as Fuzz and Concept just buying space. Goliath's gonna be the next to go down. Wildcard just trying to do whatever they can, but right now there's just too much damage. There's just too much. Inting for globes. They're just able to take everything they want. Another 4-for-0, and we're only 10 minutes in, and they're knocking on the core. Now, the death timers aren't super long, but it is still going to be a decent amount of time. Now, Concept is just going to constantly be jumping in. Yawner's going to be the next target, and they will be able to reset Yawner's once more. And with that, I believe that's all she wrote. Inting for globes with their final game of the season. They secure themselves first place. They're going to be able to secure themselves the Heroic Division as they do clean up a couple more kills in the meanwhile. And they will eliminate Durotan's Couch from the Heroic Division. And I mean, this was always going to be an uphill battle for Durotan's Couch, but they showed a lot of good team fights. They showed a lot of good opportunities, especially in that first game. Now, unfortunately for them, this will be the end of their season. They will finish 9th place in the Heroic Division and will not be able to advance to playoffs. However, on the flip side of it, Inting for Globes, with this win, and especially with that first map win, they were able to secure themselves first place in the Heroic Division. Rodney's imaginary friends got really close to fighting for that spot, but unfortunately for them, Inting for Globes, they're just looking really strong right now. They're looking really powerful, and they will be able to get themselves all of that position that they want. Now, I'm going to get set up for an interview. So give me one moment as I get that set up.
I ain't gonna. Oh,
Hello. Hello.
What up, dog?
Not much. How are you today?
Not bad, man. We just won. I'm on top of the world.
Perfect. Now, for everyone in chat, it is gonna be Funds joining us here for the interview. And I believe you're Fuzz, right? The main tank for Inting for Globes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure.
Fuzz, Fun Buns. So many different names.
Well, either way, first thing I want to ask, you just went 2-0 over Durotan's Couch, and with that, you were able to secure first place in the Heroic Division. How does it feel?
I mean, it feels good, you know. The job's not done still, so we gotta stay locked in. But felt like a pretty good season. Really excited to see how the playoffs go.
Yeah, and speaking of playoffs, I came up with my own conspiracy theory while we were doing the draft for map number 2. But technically, your opponent was under your control. If you decided to lose this series to Durotan's Couch, you would have chosen to face them for this first round. And if you beat them, you will be facing 9-5. Now, was that something that was thought of at all by your team?
I'd be lying if I said we didn't know about it. We definitely kind of saw what was going on with stands. It was actually our captain Concept that brought it up. And his reasoning for why he wanted a 2-0 tonight was it's easier to schedule with 9-5. So that's why we really went hard for it. I'm not making this up. This is all true.
That's the thing. I do believe you. It doesn't sound like you're making it up, but well, at the very least, it shows. I mean, that's the kind of win you can only get by actually playing hard. It isn't something you win by throwing. So definitely the more respectable option of the two.
I think it's just better as well. You know what I mean? Like throwing or like perhaps accidentally misplaying for like stand manipulation is just so weird, man.
Yeah, I agree. But with that, you are going to be playing into 925. And what are your thoughts on that series?
I mean, it went really well last time. We're just gonna, keep our heads down, don't troll too much, do our best, really, really trying to get the win this time. This is actually our captain's last NGS season.
Oh, so you got to win for concept, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with this win being on your mind, Rodney's imaginary friends, they were actually right on your tail for that number one seed. In fact, you had to win at least one map in this final series to be able to secure that number one spot. And Potential Scrim Thursday just toppled Rodney's imaginary friends. Oh, so what teams are you looking at for this next for this playoff series that you think could beat you, that you think are going to be the real dangers?
Truly, in ideal worlds, I think the most competitive one is the I forget their name, man. The Bob team. What is it? Are they Potential Scrim
Potential Scrim
Thursday?
Thursday, yes.
Yeah, I think that would be like the most competitive finals, but playoffs have like this weird thing of like, I don't know, nerves, like human factor, people performing out of their mind for some reason. So like I really think we gotta respect all these teams out here. Just because like, I don't know, I've lost pretty embarrassing series before, so I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen this time.
I mean, that's a good way to keep an eye on it because at the end of the day, there's no lower bracket. You mess up one day and that's it.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I think we'll be good though, man. We got a good roster here.
Then kind of following up on that playoff. So it is going to be transitioning to those best of fives. Some teams don't care. Some teams think they have an advantage once it gets to that. But what are your thoughts for your team?
Well, my team is full of losers that don't have plans. So the best of five is actually great for us. It's great for us. We have all this free time, so it allows us to use that to our advantage.
All right. And then I guess my final question to you before I send you on your way. Are there any shout outs you'd like to give over? Is there anything you'd like to say to all of your fans out there?
Shout out the boys, first and foremost. Shout out everybody watching. Thank you for casting. Always gotta shout the caster. And I don't know, just thanks for anybody that's a fan of HOTS, man.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming to this interview and congratulations on both your domination and that first place seed. You have yourself a good night.
Yes, sir. See you around, man. Thank you.
And with that, we are going to be ending the cast here. We will be ending the day here. A lot of fun games. We got 5 full maps. And the Heroic Division regular season is now officially over. I'm putting a close to it. And the playoffs are going to be starting soon. And I think this is where stuff's about to get really fun. I'm definitely going to be trying to cast more and more. Just trying to get, well, I say that, I'm already casting a ton, but I'm going to try to get as many playoff games as I can. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the other casters definitely going to be trying to go for them as well. So hopefully we can get every single playoff game cast, but no promises there. We're just going to do our best. I'm not sure when I'm casting next. I might pick up a game tomorrow. I'm not sure. My schedule's still going to be up in the air a bit, but I will be a little bit more consistent than I have been before. But again, we'll have to see. But for now, thanks all for watching. Thanks all for coming by, and hopefully I'll be online tomorrow, and I'll see you there. You have yourselves a good night.